All right, well, we are going to do a one-off message today, and we're going to do a message on time, specifically the value of time. And we're going to look at a couple principles. This is going to be, if you were an ant looking at it, and if you were an airplane looking down at it, it's going to be about 15,000 feet. So it's somewhere in the middle there. We could definitely spend way more time on it. But I kind of want to give you more of a hands-on approach. This is something that we all struggle with, time, specifically time management. It's something that I struggle with. If you know me, you know that I lose track of time when things are, when I'm busy, and I'm more project-oriented than I am time-oriented. And so we want to be good stewards of our time. We want to be stewards that invest our time wisely. And we're going to look at a couple different things that we can do to better that, and then look at some principles about that. A couple quotes. I love quotes. I love to see just some things that people say. And this is from Jim Rohn about time. Jim says, "Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time, for that's the stuff life is made of." Time is the foundation from which the raw materials of life come from. It's the ocean that holds experiences which define what life is. Chris Herb. That's my quote. That's a late night quote. Time is the most valuable thing a man can spend. Theocrates. And with that in mind, what do people do with their time? You know, we all have it. It can't be kept. We can't ask for more of it, and we'll look at that in just a minute. We have to spend it. It is literally indispensable when it comes, but then it's expendable when we have it. The moment I have something, okay, this is my time, but in just a second it's going to be past time, right? And I'll have another, Lord willing, another opportunity of time. So what do most people do with this? According to the latest statistics on time, and nobody take offense to any of these statistics, but this is just the general consensus of what happens. Most people spend watching television. The average U.S. adult is forecasted to spend 175 minutes a day, or 2 hours and 55 minutes viewing traditional television programs. So not all the other stuff, just traditional. And I did see a nice graph that shows it actually is on the decline. During COVID, it was about 25% greater than that, and now it's starting to come back off again. But again, 2 hours and 55 minutes, call it 3 hours. Video gamers spend 8 hours and 27 minutes each week playing video games, which actually is up 14% over 2020. The average person spends 53 minutes a day, both sexes, getting ready for the day, whatever that entails. Almost an hour getting ready. The average individual United States citizen, China is even higher than this, spends 8 hours and 40 minutes sleeping. I don't think I've done that in like 15 years, but most people are doing that at some level, probably gaming and sleeping or whatever they do. But over eight and a half hours sleeping every single day. And we have 168 hours in the day or in the week to do these type of things. I feel like I have 160 hours, but Stephanie reminds me that I don't. No, we have 1,440 minutes in a day. That's your day. And that's my day, right? We're immune to the different levels of that. Everybody has the same amount of time. That's 24 hours. 1,440. So what are you doing with that? Well, let's look at life expectancy. Hopefully, we have all sorts of time to expend, wasting our time, right? Well, we don't have that much. The average male life expectancy is 74.8 years. And female has a little bit more, 80.2 years. So again, if you extrapolate that out, that's 39,157,200 minutes for your average man. And do we have any? Well, we have just a few newborns, but there's a lot of us who are quite a bit older than that, right? We're close to 70. and the average span is 74.8. Oh, hopefully he's past the all that other stuff. Female, 80.2, like I said, 42,153,120 minutes. She could waste a little bit more time than the average male, right? But obviously we know that doesn't happen. And we've heard of the sayings, oh, well, this is just a waste of time. I'm running out of time. Well, just in time. Oh, I don't have enough time. But are these statements true? Are you literally running out of time? Well, no, you're in time. You can't be running out of time. Waste of time. Can you be wasting your time? Yeah, absolutely you can. And are you promised more time? No, you're not. Right? And we're going to look at what time is. Time is an asset. And we're going to look at what that entails. Is time something that can be wasted? If that's true, the opposite is true. Time is something that can be invested. And the return of life is evident with meaning and purpose. Right? Isn't that what life is? If you were to define your life and define what exactly it is a series of experiences, right? It's a series of opportunities. It's a series of, well, possibly setbacks, but then encouraging times of clawing back, right? These high peaks and these low valleys are what give us this meaning for life, this understanding of what life is. And what do you do when you waste your time? Well, again, this is the small decision. When you decide to waste a second in a minute then an hour, and then you waste a day, and then you procrastinate, and then you tell yourself that, well, you deserve it because you were busy doing this or that. Not only are you wasting your time, you are wasting your life. You personally. No one else can waste your life. You're the only one that can do that. You go from wasting a minute to ultimately wasting your life. And if you take it to its logical extension, wasting away, right? Because that's what you are, is your life. We have all seen people who have squandered their life in the pursuit, and this is so sad, of nothing. They exist, right? They subsist. In fact, they feed on the profitable lives of other people because theirs is not, because they've wasted it away. They've squandered these unbelievable things that God has given us. So sad. And it starts with wasting your life with a second and a minute. And here after a while, it becomes your life. In the future, I want to do a couple messages, a series on habits and how a habit is formed, how a habit is sustained, how one is relinquished and another one developed. Can you forget about a habit? And this kind of lines up as we just start to think about those things, thinking about time and the raw material that time gives. And that's exactly that. Time is raw material. It is, as I said in my quote, it is the foundation of the raw materials of life. And it's the ocean that holds experiences which define what life is. It's just the ethos. It's just everything around you. This room that we're sitting in this afternoon was built on a foundation. That foundation you can think of in your life as your time. And it's something that you are in charge of. No one tells you what to do. No one defines who you are. No one defines what time you give to this and to give to that. Yeah, you've got an employer. Yeah, you've got maybe a spouse. You've got a family. You've got all these things. But ultimately, it is your time. And your wife has her time. And your kids try to waste y'all's time, or whatever the case may be. But we all have an allotment of this resource, finite resource, that we call time. So what is time? Who holds it? Time is our greatest asset. It's the greatest thing that you will have in your possession. If you don't have it, you're no longer here, right? You're dead, and time ceases to exist. So what is an asset? Somebody might say, this phone is an asset. This pen is an asset. This $5 bill is an asset. It has intrinsic value, but also it's defined in its overall acceptance of it. It's $5. It's not $6. Probably acts more like $2. But it's $5, right? And we can quantify that. We can hold it. If I hand it to someone else, it's an asset of value. What is this? Anybody know what that is? You ever seen what $500,000 looks like? That's $500,000 right there. This is an asset. It's crypto. This asset is definable. I can graph it. I can look at it. I can send it. I can receive it. I can protect it. I can hold it. I could send $500,000 for 70 cents. I couldn't send that to Europe for 70 cents, right? But it's only $5. It's a different asset, right? It has a different quantifiable value associated with it. What do you put on your time? How valuable is your time to you? Are you young and you think, well, I'm young, I got all the time in the world. Oh, do you? Do you know exactly when the end of your life will be? Do you know how much time you have? An asset is any useful thing or something that holds value. So think about this. Time is the scarcest asset on the planet. When you look at finances, there's different, or any commodity for that matter, there's a hardness scale. And kind of hang with me here. When the price of gold goes up, all of a sudden they find more gold, right? Miners get to, because it's profitable, it's valuable. Diamonds, there's a hardness scale to that. Even though they're very rare, there's still more of them, right? And so they produce more, they find more, which in turn does what? Drives the value back down. You see this in all commodities. You see this in all currencies. They print more money and there's more dollars vying for the same object. And so the price gets more expensive. How about time? Can you make more of that? It has a hardness scale that is infinite. We don't know how much is there. And so obviously it carries an amazing amount of value. It's the scarcest asset on the planet. It cannot be purchased. It can be sold, but never bought for yourself. You can buy other people's time, but never more for yourself. The moments that are built on time become a memory. The moments that are created, all you truly have is now, and it's gone the moment it's created. You have it, it's past. You have it, it's past. You can't ever hang on to it. Time is an asset you can only look back at to what you had of it, but never can count on any more in the future. I know exactly what this is. As long as the United States is the United States, it's $5. But I don't know how much time I have. I know what I've had, but I don't know what's coming to me. One of my favorite Christian rap songs is from Lecrae, and he has some great words thinking about this concept of time. And the song, I won't rap it for you, the song is called Don't Waste Your Life. Don't waste your life. And here's just some of the lyrics of it, again with a rap kind of flair to it. If you make a lot of money hoping you're doing it right because the money is God's, you better steward it right. And stay focused. You ain't got no ride. Your life ain't wrapped up in what you drive. The clothes you wear, the job you work, the color of your skin, nah, you're a Christian first. People get to living for a job, make a little money, start living for a car, get them a wife, a house, kids, and a dog. Then they retire. They're living high on the hog. But guess what? They didn't ever really live at all. To live is Christ. And that's Paul. That's Paul, I recall. To die is gain, so for Christ we give it all. He's the treasure you'll never find in a mall. Your money, your singleness, marriage, talent, your time, they were loaned to you to show the world that Christ is divine. And it goes on and on. Your time is not yours. It's on loan from the Creator for you to use it. Ultimately, we're going to look at for Him so that He gets glory. Your time is actually not yours. It's on loan to be used and invested. So as we think about that and kind of just build on this concept of time, here's a couple points, just more principles than points that we can kind of waymarks as we're kind of working through time and working through our lives to understand just how valuable our life is and our time is. Number one, if you're taking notes, your days are numbered, so number your days. Psalm 90 verse 12 says, "Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." The concept again about this is that time is limited. Your time is a limited asset. It is an asset that is wasting away. If you do absolutely nothing, it's a waste of time. You are here to do something, right? If you're still here this morning, you still have time. I don't know what will happen later on. I can't guarantee tomorrow. I can't guarantee the next hour, but I can guarantee this second. Right now, you're here. Not only that, your blood is pumping. Your autonomic nervous system is functioning. Your organs are working on overdrive. All of this is working, pumping blood up to your brain so you can have understanding and knowledge and insight and excitement and passion about life to ultimately channel that passion as something profitable, to make a fortune, to raise a family, to be an inspiration, to whatever the case may be. That all is piggybacking on time. And time is, again, something that you can't buy. You could be a multi-billionaire and want to get right back to this moment right now, and you can't. You can't get back to the health that you had when you're 20, and you can't get back to the time you had when you're 15, right? It's an asset that is leaving. There are only so many hours in the day. There are only so many days in your life, and time is a limited resource. And so with all the limited resources, we need to treat it with care. We need to protect it, right? We need to use it. We need to have plans and purposes and opportunities to leverage our time. Speaking of leverage, again, in finances, you can go in an investment and you can just take $1 on a stock, or you could go 100x leverage, meaning you could make 100 times your money positively, but then also you could lose 100 times your money negatively with just a $1 bill. You could 100x your time or your money. You can 100x your time, right? With opportunities and resources and partnerships and synergism and all these different things with other people who have a limited amount of time to be able to have more of an impact than what you could do just in and of yourself. But again, you have to know the limits of your time. You have to know the finality of your time and how it is something that you will not have more of later on. Your days are numbered. God knows exactly how many days you have. You don't. You're just cruising through the night, looking at your high beams or your headlights looking forward. That's as far as you can see, right? So what are you doing with what God has given us? You want to make your time count, right? You want to leave an impact, if not just for your kids, for future generations, and then ultimately for the judge of the universe. Second point is there are only so many hours in the day. Genesis 1:5 speaks of that. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. 24 hours. Don't care where you are in the world, it's 24 hours. That's all you have, and that's all I have. And Stephanie can attest to this. I might try to make 40 hours into 24 hours, but you can't, right? You only have so much daylight. You only have so much time, so many opportunities. There are only so many hours in the day. Last time I checked, it was 24, and that's by God's design. He intended it that way, right? He made it that way. Night and darkness, or light and darkness. And what's fascinating to consider about this concept of the 24 hours in the day is that each of us gets the same amount, right? Nobody gets any more or any less. Doesn't matter how rich or poor you are. It doesn't matter how young or old you are. It doesn't matter what continent you live on or whether you live in the city or in the country. Each person on planet Earth gets the exact same amount of time each and every day. So it's what we do with our time that makes the difference. Isn't it amazing that two different people can make such different use of the same amount of time that they have? Hey, can you help me do something? Oh man, I don't have time. You don't have time? What are you talking about? You got 24 hours, just like I do. How do you not have time? You're not even in charge of the time. It's given to you as a gift. Somebody must be squandering your time if you don't have any time. 24 hours is all we're given. Ben Franklin said, lost time is never found again. Whew. Off into the past. Third point is there are only so many days in your life. Psalm 139:16 says, all the days ordained for me, this is David speaking, were written in your book before one of them came to be. Every day. All the opportunities, all the setbacks. You ever felt like you have this like cloud raining on you like a thunderstorm? You know? And you just feel like you can't get out from underneath it. You're looking for the sunlight, and you just feel like everybody's against you. The world's against you. I'm got some neighbors up the street, and that's what they feel like right now. Things are getting stolen. Things are breaking down. Work is overwhelming. Blah, blah, blah. You just we've all been there, right? Every day is ordained. Every opportunity. Yeah, there's sowing and reaping, definitely. And there's all these different things that come into what you would call your life. But the Lord knows. He sees all. He understands all. And He's focused on you. So each one of us only gets a certain amount of time on this earth. And that time is ordained by God. Right? Nothing catches his purview. Nothing's, oh, well, Jeff had 25 hours and Pat only had 23 and a half. Whew, all right, well, we need to reset that. No, it's perfect. Each person an opportunity. Kind of reminds me of the talents, right? What are you doing with this raw material? Nothing's built for you. When you wake up in the morning, it's just an empty slate. You're the contractor. You're the engineer, right? You're everything for that day. Some of us live long, healthy lives while other people's lives are cut short. God gives you 70 years. That's about 26,000 days. That may seem like a lot, but compared to eternity, it's only a breath. Nothing. And so the Bible teaches us to view our life as brief and quick and passing. As David writes in Psalm 39:4, show me, O Lord, my life's end and the number of my days. Let me know how fleeting is my life. Give me an understanding that all of this will come to an end. The reign, the kingdom, all of the opulence that I have, at some point I'm going to be put into a box. Give me this understanding so that I'm not jaded by this fact that, oh, well, yeah, I got another day. No, you don't. Not necessarily. You don't know if some car is going to come careening across the highway and take you out, or a vast amount of other things. I mean, if we thought about what all transpires in our day, our 24-hour period, of all the different factors and things that bring us back to the house and allow us to have some of the great days that we have, or some of the more difficult days that we have, I think it would make our heads spin of how out of control we truly are in light of what all is happening around us. So David, of all people, this is not something where we're just hoping and waiting for our life to end, right? It's this concept that our days are numbered. They're numbered by our Creator, and we are the steward of the days that's been given. And any extra day that you have is a gift. I got another day. Oh, I screwed up in the past, but I got another day. I got another minute. I got another, and Stephanie and I were talking a while back obviously we have kids, and we were talking about how we're just thankful when we have just a little free time. Well, it's 2.5 hour nap. We should have 2.5 hours. No, not necessarily. They got their own concept of time as well. We're happy for 10 minutes, right? And I guess the more kids you get, the lower and lower the number gets. You're happy to just get a breath of fresh air without having somebody, breathing in your face. Whatever the case may be, these are opportunities. These are gifts that are given from our Creator. No one can predict accurately how long he or she will live. Proverbs 27:1 warns us to not be presumptuous, right? To not assume. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. And James counsels us as well in James 4:13 and 14. Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go into such and such a town and spend a year there and trade and make profit. I mean, that's what would normally happen, right? Yet, you do not know what tomorrow will bring. Proverbs, there's this concept of being a fool, right? And being someone who is smart. That's what a fool would say. Oh, I had it yesterday. Why would I not have it tomorrow? There's no guarantee for tomorrow. There's never a guarantee in Scripture where God promises the future, except for what he's promised for you in the future, i.e. eternity, but not in time. Our next point is, there is a time for everything, so manage your time well. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. You know, when we think about seasons, and if you're a green thumb, you don't grow something year-round unless you create one season being a greenhouse, right? There's different ebbs and flows to a season. Winter may be a little longer. Summer may be a little hotter. This happens. This has happened for thousands and thousands of years, right? And a season, I wouldn't expect something to grow in the winter, but I definitely would expect it to grow in the summer because it has all the raw materials and the things to make that plant flourish. Your life is the same way. You're making investments in the piggy bank of life with your time, right? You're doing the hard work in the winter. You're doing the difficult work in different times of the season. And there's an expectation of a return. Your life being that. And there's a time for everything. Oh, well, I guess I didn't have enough time. You have enough time for the important things of life. Life will give you what you're willing to fight for. If you want to be at meeting, you'll find the time for that. If you want to open up the Word of God, you'll find time for that. If you want to physically get fit, yep, you'll find some time for that. You're going to have to burn the candle from both ends, but there will be enough time for that. But guess what? There will be less time for the other things that don't matter. Those are the things that are wasting your life, right? And that's what Paul talks about. There's a season for every activity under heaven. Then he goes on to talk about time is born. There's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot, and so on. It's just a reminder that there is the right time and the right season for everything. You know, this is something that I learned as I learn as I get older. When I'm 10 years old, it's not time to buy a home, right? It's time to enjoy your life. It's time to hang out with kids, buddies, and have fun and ride your bike, and money means nothing, and time goes on forever, and just live as a younger individual. 6 years old, the same thing. Hey, don't worry about paying the electric bill. I got that figured out. Just go dig in your hole. Just enjoy that, right? Take a stick and see how far down you can get and hollow out a little area. Do that. Just do that. And then, we can work on to that. Well, when you're 40 or 50, I would expect you to have a home, have a family, Lord willing, have a job, keep a job, not have things that are running rampant, right? We advance as we get older. There's a time and a season for everything. That's worthwhile. That's profitable. That's worth going after. I've tried really hard, and I'm going to try even harder. And what we say in here is there's no try. You just will or you won't. But I'm working on it to not say I don't have enough time, because I do have enough time. I'm just choosing to not use my time wisely. We all have enough time, right? We're just deciding to put this instead of that, and using these things to basically obstacles as roadblocks in our lives. And a lot of times it's complacency. A lot of times it's comfort, more often than not. A lot of times it's just being tired, right? And this is where this muscle needs to kick in and say, okay, but I've decided already that that's what I'm going to do. In light of what happens, we do something on Sundays in our house, Stephanie and I, if we can, and it's called our Sunday evening debrief. And every pilot does this. If you have an accident or something, you do this. So an event happens, and then you debrief. You go, okay, how can we get better there? What do we need to do here? And okay, let's plan the week out. It hadn't started yet, but we know a lot of things are going to happen. So what are we doing Monday? Okay, what are we eating? What are you doing? What projects do you want to do? What do I need to do? We're debriefing and getting set up for the week ahead beforehand, so that these things that are somewhat of a non-negotiable are already in place. So when something else comes up, I've got a prior obligation. I can't. These are the things that were important to get accomplished. And there's a time for everything of that. The next one is find God's balance in your life. We need to be careful that we do not import our concepts of time into the whole idea of managing our time. And Ecclesiastes 3:11 is the verse for this. You think about here in the United States, we tend to view time management mainly in terms of productivity. I got to get this done. I got to get that done. I've got to, this and that. I got to. And we push ourselves into a corner. How can I squeeze the most out of each hour? Efficiency, right? There's all these different acronyms for that in the workforce. And there are times when productivity is the right goal for the task before us. We have to accomplish this before the rain comes. I don't care what's happening, that's what we're doing. We're very efficient, we're getting after it, we're hammering out whatever needs to be done. But there are other times where it reminds us that there are other values attached to time, and it's not productivity. In different cultures, people hang out all the time. Hispanic culture and different things like that, they eat, they enjoy themselves, they play music, they just have a good time. And there is no productivity at all. Nothing going on, but just hanging out. The most important value of time is not productivity, but it's relational. You got things that have to be done, and then there's people that are counting on you. These two different things that we have to work on. It's not about how much you get done, but rather about how much time you spend with other people. And this completely changes the way we look at time. There's a time for this, as we just saw in Ecclesiastes, and there's a time for that. But there's not just a time for this for the whole period of your life, right? We've got all sorts of things that we got to work on. Kids, family, wife, husband, job, all of these hats that we're working on. Alabama has a song, says, I'm in a hurry to get things done. I rush a rush until life's no fun. All I really got to do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and I don't know why. Just go, 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 nonstop. And then what you have left for everybody else is the ashes of your life as it implodes on everybody because you're so tired. You're so wore out. In my line of work, I move heavy equipment. Well, guess what? There's another machine to move somewhere. I can only do so much. And the quicker I figured out that, listen, my day is this to that, and I'm not going to worry about what happens tomorrow, and I'm not going to worry about this and that. It'll be there tomorrow, Lord willing. I'm just going to focus on what I can, and that's it, right? Instead of, I've got to reach this quota, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. Ecclesiastes 3:11, He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. The point is this, managing your time well is not just about productivity, it's about balance. There's a time to work, there's a time to rest. There's a time to focus on projects, and there's a time to focus on people. And God has made, quote, everything beautiful in its time. Whenever that time is, give it all you got. If it's the project, 110%. If it's people, give them all your attention. Give them everything in that period of time. Don't squander your time. Don't cheat people out of your time. Don't waste your time. Time is a gift from God, and God has given you sufficient time to accomplish everything He has called you to do in your life. There is a time for everything, so manage your time well. Live as wise, not as unwise. That's including numbering your days and managing your time. But it also means avoiding sinful, wasteful, and harmful decisions. If you're going to use your time, you can squander it or you can invest it. It's an asset, remember? It has a specific spot for it, just like thinking of investments and things that we talked about. It is one thing to misuse the time God has given you, but it is another thing to abuse God's gift of time. You see the difference? Misusing versus abusing. Using this opportunity that God's given you for sinful, horrible things versus just being a bum, but actually looking out, seeking out and looking for these opportunities. Romans 13, 11 through 14. This is speaking to believers, mind you. And do this, understanding the present time, the hour has come for you to wake up from your slumber. Because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. let us behave decently as in the daytime, not in orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and debauchery, not in dissensions and jealousy. Rather, clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ, and do not think about how to gratify the desires of the sinful flesh. That's misusing the gift of time. Abusing the gift of time. Taking it and saying, yep, it's my time. I'll do what I want with it. I'll gratify myself and my own selfish ambitions with it. Paul's saying, don't do that. Do not use your time in that way. Clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ. These commands for right living are all given within the context of time. The time God has given you and the time you have remaining. The days are evil. It's obvious. So be careful how you live. Live as wise, not as unwise. And we got 2 more points and I'm done here. Make the most of every opportunity. Again, because the days are evil. Ephesians 5:16. Once again, if time is a limited resource, then you want to make the most of every moment. You don't want to squander it, right? You want to seize upon it. Okay, I got an opportunity. Let's go do something with it. I've got time. Let's go invest it properly. The word translated make the most of here is an economical term, which means to purchase or to redeem. Go take a risk. Go use something to leverage your time. That's why some Bible versions translate this as redeeming the time. Carl Sandburg said, time is the coin of your life. It is the only coin you have, and only you can determine how it will be spent. Be careful lest you let other people spend it for you. Your time is valuable. Your time is priceless. Don't give your time to everybody. There's some people that want to waste your time. They want to use your time. They don't want to use theirs. They want to use yours. They want to lock you up in all sorts of things. Be careful. Don't be unwise with your time. Use it properly. And enjoy the good things God has given you on this planet while you can. Ecclesiastes 9:10 says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For in the grave where you are going, there is neither working nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. Use everything you've got. If you've got the opportunity, if you've got the raw material, if you've got the foundation for your life, well then get building. Get after it. Give it everything you have. Leave nothing to chance. Don't expect tomorrow to come. Don't expect this evening to come. Work with all your might. If it's on your relationship, well then give them 100%. If it's on your project, we'll see if you can get it finished. If it's on your kids, give them all that time. Your wife, your husband, all of these things. Don't squander the time. And lastly, understand the Lord's will. So how do you live carefully in these evil times? You live as wise, not as unwise. You make the most of every opportunity. And finally, you understand God's will for you. If you really want to make your time count, then seek God's will on a daily basis. Every day, God is there to guide you in the paths He has for you, to use this time that He's given you. It's not like, all right, here's 39 million minutes. Enjoy yourself. He has a will too. And He has something that He wants you to walk in. Most of God's will is clearly laid out in Scripture. And God's will never lead you to do anything that is contrary to His will in His Word. Book of James talks about a person who says today or tomorrow we will go into that city and spend a year, carry business, all those different things. And basically, at the end, it's you fool. You don't know whether that's going to happen. Your days are numbered, so number your days. There is a time for everything, so manage your time well. And the days are evil, so be careful how you live. And the last quote to finish this out. He who fails to plan, plans to fail. Plan your time out. Well, I don't know if I'm going to get it tomorrow. Well, plan as if you will, and then wait and see if the Lord blesses you with it. Don't leave your time up for chance, right? Don't leave these opportunities where you wake up and you're like, all right, what do I feel like doing? Well, I don't know. You should have had a plan before because your feelings change and ebb and flow. Use the asset that God has given you. You don't know how much time you have, but if you're sitting here this moment and you're listening to me and I'm still here, then you have another second. You have another minute. You've got a family to raise. You've got friends that are counting on you. You've got an assembly that's looking forward to whatever you're going to do with your time. Your time affects me and my time affects you, right? So use it for the Lord's glory.